third world resources. Why is it that some of the world's most expensive commodities come from such poor countries?
Oh, hello. Didn't see you there. My name is Alistair Wallencocksheim, and I'm a professor at Oakshire University. Today we'll be looking at several professionals in the field of third world resources. First, we'll be looking at a man named Dale, who works in the pearl industry.
It's difficult to begin to explain the reason why pearls are so expensive. From a very early time, people would dive for pearls in the Indian Ocean, and pearls were Mother Nature's jewelry, so they were a process created by Mother Nature, and it's so rare that people are going to want it, because people want something that's rare. People want to be the only people that have this. So when there is demand for something that's so rare, people are going to make the price very high, and that's what gives pearls such a large expense. More recently, people have begun to develop cultured pearls, which are a synthetic version of these pearls, and even the most experienced jewelers cannot tell the difference between a cultured pearl and a natural pearl unless using X-ray imaging. So these pearls have been able to create massive profit for pearl farmers and the pearl industry in general. The pearl industry is a it's a very good engine of profit. The pearl industry is.
Next, we'll be looking at a man from the University of Qatar and his studies on blood diamonds.
There is a truth that is currently occurring called, I've studied many instances of this at the university. It is called blood diamonds, in which diamonds are mined to fund insurgency and war, and it's not a good thing, you know. Many people are involved in this, and it goes on a lot. And then there's also another occurrence called conflict minerals. Conflict minerals is where things are mined, and the mining is done in conditions of war, and there is lots of abuse of human rights, and it is not a good thing. There is terrible conditions, absolutely terrible, and these people are treated horrible. There are literally hundreds of people lined up mining these diamonds or gold or any other minerals. This occurs very often in Africa. 2/3 of the world's diamonds are mined in Africa, and a lot of them are mined through these methods that, well, these diamonds are in gold are used, and they're sent off to the United States, where there is just, you would not suspect these diamonds are coming from a place like this. It is terrible. It is not good at all, you know. So anyway,
But wasn't that exciting? Next, we'll be looking at Dr. Ezekiel and his studies as to how prices change.
hello, my name is Dr. Ezekiel. I am an economist at the University of Berlin, and I have come here to explain how a valuable item gains its value. Let's take, for example, gold being mined in South Africa. A miner in South Africa would not get paid very much for his work in mining the gold. And he would mine the gold, and then once the gold is mined, it would be sent off to first a system of middlemen who would ship the diamonds, and then a system of middlemen who would cut the diamonds, or gold, or whatever, process it. Now anyway, these middlemen, whatever labor or any cost they go through, they will add to the price of the gold or diamonds. And then once it reaches its final destination, a series of exogenous factors will determine its price, such as the demand for this item, because there is no mathematical way to predict this. So that is what will give it its price. If there is low demand, the price will be low. If there is high demand, the price will be high. Plus, depending on how rare the item is, will determine this. And anyway, prices vary a lot. Recently, we've seen gold hit its all-time high, and well, a lot of pricey things, you know. The world ain't cheap no more. Anyway, I am Dr. Ezekiel from the University of Berlin. Thank you, good night.
Now what would it be like living in a place where these resources are mined?
I grew up in a very poor town. Only thing we do in town, two things. We do grain and we do steel. That is all we do. Now, one day I was working fields and I see advertisement being put up next to the train station for... This was advertisement for gold. And I see gold and I go, what is this gold? I go, why is it so expensive? The signs say that it is $2,000 for this amount of gold. And I say, why is this gold $2,000? It does not till crop, it does not melt steel, it does not cut down any trees. Why is this? Now, I have learned many things in my day, but I still do not know why this gold is so expensive. It is one of the many questions that I ask myself. Why do people pay so much for this? Why do the rich want this? I mean, I don't know. It is something that eludes me.
Wasn't that interesting? Next we'll be looking at a man who is at the head of a third world resources business.
Hello, my name is Lafayette Hunter, and I am the CEO of Globex Mining. Well, to start to tell you something about me, I was born in southern Rhodesia. Terrible place. I don't like Africa. It's a bit hot, and I am a bit racist. Anyway, well, first off, the conditions there aren't very good. Once I started up in mining, really, well, I will admit I have used some deceitful methods to do my mining. I'm not proud of it, but I do not regret a bit of it, yes'm. Anyway, well, started out mining, and it was a pretty terrible thing. You know, it had the sun beating down. They gave us 1 bowl of rest a day, no more, no less. You gotta work an 18-hour day. That means you gotta 6 hours to sleep. Then you gotta go straight back to work. But anyway, it is terrible. It is just terrible. But then I started going up the corporate ladder. Started going up the corporate ladder, and I was then the CEO. I started hiring some cheap labor from abroad. We had operations in South Africa, Namibia, Zimbabwe, Zaire, and Zambia. And anyway, well, we got people working there for very cheap prices. You got all that hyperinflation in the Zimbabwe, so the economy is real crazy down there. I kind of took advantage of that. I was selling my operations in Zimbabwe during the hyperinflations. But anyway, continuing, getting back to the subject, I would hire cheap labor from all over, and what we would do is we would take the products and we would send them directly to our base in the United States, so that we could get it all done with for the cheapest possible price. Then we would sell them at the same price of the others who have theirs going through a bunch of different places, you know, getting cut by with 10 million different people, and getting shipped and going through a million different ports with different currencies, different economies, certain people paying more, certain people paying less for things. We solve that by just directing it there, and now, I'm not very proud to talk about this, but our labor conditions were not very good. We pay the people very little money. The conditions were very terrible. We had a lot of people crowded in one very, very, very small mine. A lot of people going down a mining elevator. There was a terrible mining elevator accident. Haven't yet formally apologized for it yet. Anyway, so the conditions are not very good. Got a lot of people working for very bad conditions. Well, to tell you the truth, I do not regret it one bit. Yes, I do. I am proud of it, I do declare. Anyway, that is the mining industry. It is a very, very complex organism. Yes, So, today we are going to look at gold. Ooh, winter grilling. I'm not gonna go there right now. Anyway. Okay, we got gold right here. Gold is at 1708.80. Net change gold has gone down, so that means that we can buy gold at lower prices. And then once the value of gold goes up, and I know it's gonna go up because it's been going up. Well, then I will sell it, and I will make more money off of it, and that is how the living, breathing organism business works. Anyway, thank you for coming. I'm Lafayette Hunter, and this is my business, I do declare.
Wasn't that dreadful? Next, a man in Russian prison, whose government wishes for him to remain anonymous, shares his experiences with third world resources.
Go!
Hello, I am reporting from Russian prison. I was indicted 41 years ago under crimes of humanity. I will not give my identity or my name, but I will tell you this. I was an economist for 25 years, and I know everything there is to know about economy and exporting, importing, and such. So, 45 years ago, I was working for a company in Russia based out of Moscow. At this company, I would pretty much come up with equations and formulas to decipher how much money it would cost to export certain amounts of goods and valuables from third world countries to first world countries. A very good method of indicating this is the multiplying factor. The multiplying factor is a very good tool to find out, how money multiplies over time with given variables. So, next time you are looking up the price of gold or silver, think about how much it could cost in the country that it was produced, because a lot of the gold and silver and diamonds and just general valuables that are in the United States and Russia and really anywhere in first world countries today, they were exported from third world countries. So, it's very interesting to see, how things over time change. And a good way of looking at this also is seeing how much the workers in the third world countries are paid. Because, they have special moral values that they like to keep. And money, money is not necessarily a necessity in these third world countries. Whereas, we in first world countries, we take it as a necessity. But they do not. They take maybe family and hard work as necessities. But we take money as it. And that's a good way of telling how valuable resources change over time due to the, I guess you could say, the wants and the needs of these workers. Whereas, these workers in America, Whereas these workers in America, you know, they get paid all these gobs of money, and you know, all they want is money, money, money. In Russia, you know, it's the same, only you know, we want less. You know, we're in Russia, we're a little better with our money, you know, historically. But I worked for this company for a while. I know these things very well, and people in third world countries, they really don't care about how much Americans get paid, or you know, how much valuables they produce. All that really matters is that they get food, water, and you know, they get a decent amount of money, but still it does not amount to the amount that a normal American worker would get paid for 1 unit rate of a valuable. Whereas, you know, in the United States, it's about $1,600 an ounce of gold right now. That's pretty high. You know, in say the Congo, or you know, any other rich gold producing areas in Africa, they don't really measure the amount of money that you would have to pay for 1 ounce of gold. They measure it in time and in man hours, and you know, how much food they get paid, and how much respect they get. So all these things are good ways to tell how, you know, things, valuables that we find as valuable in the United States are a lot more money here than they are in third world countries. But maybe some things in the United States are, you know, a lot cheaper in United States than in Africa, actually, because you know, there they have their own special ways and cultures and beliefs. And this goes for any third world countries that are kind of cut off from the rest of the cultural ways and values of the Western nations. And it has been like this all the time. Thank you for listening. I am Vladimir Komanovsky, and
Your time is up.
Okay.
Next, what is it like being in the lower management of such a company?
Hello, I am a Dutch American named Jurgen van Maat, and I used to work at a diamond mining corporation called YPX. I was an accountant for the remote operations in Chad, in Africa, in the 1980s. But operations did not go as planned. I was actually a whistleblower of the operation because a lot of the people there who were natives of Africa, they were not doing too well. You see, YPX would only give them a certain amount of food every day. That was certainly not enough. They would give them a certain amount of water, but it was not enough. So, you see, what I've learned from this is a lot of these diamond and gold and valuable producing companies that are based in the United States and Europe, in Africa and Asia, you know, they generally have a lot less overhead and a lot more output for a lot less money because of the cheap labor that goes on here. And cheap labor has a large factor when you're talking about all sorts of things, especially exportation of products from these countries. So you see, I would work at the top of the quarry in Chad, and you know, you would see all these African miners, and they would not be doing well. You know, I would feel bad for them. I would always talk to my coworkers about it, but nobody would ever do anything up in higher management. So that's when I started talking to the federal government in the United States, and eventually they would start putting in more regulation. But generally in the 1980s, when you were exporting, you know, valuables from a third world country, it would be a lot cheaper because of this cheap labor. And you know, that's why so many businesses today in the 2000s are moving out of the United States and into China and Thailand and all sorts of different countries, because labor in the United States is certainly a lot more expensive now than back in the 60s and 70s during booms.
Thank you for sticking with us for this program. If you would like to see a questionnaire based on this video, please click the following piece of footage you're about to see. Once again, thank you, and good night.
Now that is a beaver I see there. Can you see it? 'Cause that's a beaver. That's a freaking beaver. That's right, that's a freaking beaver. That is a freaking beaver. Look at it playing. Eating grass, making millions. That is one